Arbitrary reference in 3, 2, 1.
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000? There's no way that can be right!
Good freaking lord, over 9,000. I cannot believe you made it this far. Thank you so much, guys, for all the crazy support, and the subs are just downright spectacular. You guys have been totally hardcore for the past couple of months. So right now, I'm gonna do what I do best, making fun of people getting triggered over weeb stuff. So get ready to knock yourself out with a pack of boobs. Literally.
Headshot!
Busty Gore illustration series gets short anime video, then gets yanked from YouTube. I find it baffling that YouTube allows lewd content from Nicki Minaj, but not lewd content of 2D anime girls, because cartoons are just for kids. There's a good reason why Western cartoons are dying. They're made for people below the age of 10. Thankfully, the original video is back, so I highly recommend you guys to save it before YouTube takes it down again. I mean, why can't people just understand the horrible treason effect when taking down YouTube videos? If you take down a particular YouTube video, that video will then get mirrored to tons and tons and tons of other channels. So that actually gives even more exposure. How can people not understand this? This is 2016 and this treason case was like decades ago. And speaking of Keijo, girls fight with their butts and boobs in this deplorable new anime. Let's just get through the groundwork of who we're dealing with here. This person called an anime that is nothing but full fan service galore absolutely deplorable and horrible. Just before we even begin this article, the writer has a job to convince me on why this anime is deplorable. But this is coming from Kotaku, who once made an article about Pikachu's butt. I'm doubtful, but let's begin anyway. When you see a truly awful commercial product, do you ever try to picture the businessman who made it happen? Implying that Keijo is a truly awful commercial product? Who was the suit on the 11th floor of some glassy, glided skyscraper who bypassed several security officers, took an elevator to a sterile meeting room, sat down with his well-groomed colleagues and assistants, and announced, "Yes, definitely, we would love to produce a fighting anime about women smashing their asses and tits together. Very, very good. Tremendous potential here. Who are you, suit? Can we talk? I have questions about Keijo! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark." Stop that. What kind of questions that you have for Keijo! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark? Okay. Why does that have to be in the title? I don't get it. I picture this moment, the shaking of hands, the nodding of heads. Were they drinking filtered water when they decided that, yes, a sport where no contact is allowed except using breasts and butts was extremely good, and hell, let's get some real solid animators in there. Scribbled on ledger paper over in Osaka, Japan, was there an obliging secretary notes on 18 plus girls wearing swimsuits in the dormitory, honing their butt cannon and bust-to-bust attack skills, learning about life and love. This article began by demonizing the living hell out of this anime. I personally think that an anime where sports where no contact is allowed except breasts and butts to be a freaking amazing idea. Why do you think it's a bad idea? I mean, boys with abs on the swimming pool was a fantastic idea. I protest. I don't care that it's well animated. I don't care that the women have discernible personalities. No cookies for you. It is beside the point that Keijo was previously a manga. It could have died in obscurity. Now it's on Crunchyroll. Wait, so your complaint is that it's on Crunchyroll and therefore it's horrible that people watch it? And what do you mean with died in obscurity? Are you saying that this anime is better off not being watched by people? Like, that's not really why people make animes. They're made so that people can, watch them. We've increasingly seen animes that takes fanservice as its subjects, and not as a supplement to its subject. This isn't a hentai, and yet in Keijo, female erogenous zones are the subject with a thin plot shambly plastered on top. The occasional upskirt shots or full body pan is an expected, tolerable mainstay of contemporary anime. What I don't understand is why, despite cultural differences. A lot of American anime fans see Keijo and laugh it off. A move that in this show, women are valued at the sum total of their body parts. Well, I don't know, lady, but I think you're the only one crying in this room. Anyway, specifically in Keijo, this is technically true. Women are valued on their body parts because, that's what they use for the sport. They use their asses and boobs to knock over people. However, they are not valued only in their body parts because, they are characters. They have motivation on joining the sports. There's actually a story in why they're using their boobs and asses. Like, sometimes feminists are willing to just ignore relevant context just so that they can say, oh, the fan service just derails to the overall experience. Now, here's the thing. I have my own criticism on fan service as well, especially with how they're utilized in animes. Yes, sometimes they are overdone. But let's get out of Keijo for a moment and get to some of the facts here. Fan services in animes, on average, are very brief. Whether or not they detract to the overall experience is completely subjective from person to person, and feminists in general think that even just 5 seconds of someone accidentally grabbing a girl's boobs to turn them off entirely from animes. Yeah, Ergo Proxy is a brilliant hardcore sci-fi anime, but oh my god, Riel takes a freaking shower naked? No!
普通に気持ち悪いのだけど。
なんでだよ!
Like, any attempt to talk about fan service in a serious manner is gonna backfire because you just missed the freaking point. It's not supposed to be serious, and it's very brief. At least in most animes, they're brief. Like in Keijo specifically, well, they're not brief, definitely, because, well, boobs and butts are like the core part of the entire experience. That's the end of our first article, so let's move on into the next one where we're gonna take an interview of the author of the articles in my free fan service videos. Interesting. Anime feminist wants to get real about fan service. I really want to picture in my head how a fan service critic looked like. Yes, this is perfect, top-notch fan service of a usually not so sexy character. However, it is such a significant distraction of a usually modest nature. Oh, this is just horrible, this is pathetic. A panty shot for a character who is very modest throughout the series? What kind of pathetic weeb would think of drawing this? Like, I can't even go through that without laughing. I'm gonna keep using that really damn hot Fubuki art, like, holy crap! If my OTP becomes canon, Saitama is one lucky bastard. So-called nerd culture has, over the last few years, been forced to take over a moral inventory. What do you mean with moral inventory? Women and minorities have always consumed the media. Yes, they have been. That's a fact. I am a minority who consume animes too. Lately, and loudly, some of us have been asking to see ourselves better reflected, at least in comics and video games. In anime, that conversation is just starting. You mean better represented in animes? Here's the thing, ladies. You have been better represented in animes. You have been represented as total badasses, or just awesome characters in general. I can name a few: Revi, Misato, Riel, Homura, Mikasa, Kurisu, and so many more. Yes, women can be badasses in animes. Your problem is that some of these women are portrayed as sexy and therefore objectified just for the male gaze and therefore bad. Like, that means you only see them as a sexual object. We don't. We see these women as characters. These women are badasses first. Sexy? That's just a bonus. If you see them as a sex object and only that, that's the kind of worldview that makes people suicidal. I suggest you to stop seeing everything that way and just enjoy animes for God's sake. Anime fan Amelia Cook is carving out a place for it. She's fluent in Japanese, just watched the whole slate of anime premieres from Crunchyroll's fall season, and counts herself a proud feminist. For some time, she's been looking for a place online for anime fans to hold congress over fan service, anime content that primarily uses female sexuality to keep viewers interested. Hold congress over fan service. I really hope that it's not as boring as actual congress. Anyway, Amelia Cook is the writer of my 3 previous fanservice articles. She makes some quite wonderful content, including saying that Moe is misogynistic. Yeah, she was serious. Watch my last video if you don't believe me. Also, anime content that primarily uses female sexuality to keep viewers interested. Isn't Keijo one of them? I mean, they use the boobs and asses, but oh, you mean sexuality that doesn't degrade women into just mere objects of the evil, misogynistic, patriarchal society. go watch Free Watobi Swim Club. That's an anime content that uses female sexuality for you, as in your female sexuality. You're welcome. Amelia Cook also made her own site called Anime Feminist. Let's visit that, shall we? Why we need you to become an AniFem patron. So, first page, and we're already shoved in with a notice to be a patron even though the site just barely began. AniFem is such an important initiative to me because as a woman and a fervent anime lover and captain of the Shinji Ikari Defense Squad, I don't think being a feminist and being an anime fan should be at odds. Shinji, just in case you don't know, is a mentally ill bisexual who is a serial masturbator and a crossdresser. Like, don't get me wrong, I feel bad for Shinji and Eva as the next guy, but he's not exactly the most interesting of characters. Misato is a better character. More developed, more human, better backstory, very competent, funnier, sexier. Like, if Eva was centered around her, I wouldn't mind. Instead, I'm stuck with this guy.
You're running away from the truth because it's ugly?
Why not? What's wrong with running away from reality if it sucks?
I'm sympathetic, don't get me wrong, but I want to turn the attention away from him into someone better. Even Asuka is better. She's a bitch, but at least she has character. Other than that, the site has a couple of anime reviews and previews and all of that. I mean, good for you for providing those content, but begging for Patreon money right when you start off a site, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna end well. That is, unless you get some really good sponsors, which we're gonna get to that. Let's go back to the interview. Oh, speaking of Patreon, thanks Daniel Morrissey, you absolutely rock. When did you start thinking that there was a need for a site like Anime Feminist? I watched anime first in the 90s and early 2000s. I stopped watching for a while because it became so hard and expensive and time-consuming to find animes that treated female characters well. There are like thousands and thousands and thousands of animes out there. To all of you watching this video, storm the comment section on great animes with great female characters. Someone desperately needs some recommendation. Now, with simulcast, it's easier to test new anime to see how they treat their female characters, but there still wasn't a lot of discussion about feminism in anime. Have you ever thought the reason why there has never been a discussion about feminism in animes? Maybe because anime fans and anime creators don't really care about feminism. That, or they don't really know what feminism does. That, or they do know what feminism does and decides to disassociate themselves from it entirely. And I can't blame them, to be honest. Viewers focus on their personal tipping points for what is acceptable and unacceptable. I want to see anime characters not objectified or infantilized. Define objectified or infantilized. Come to think of it, they're actually a little bit of two opposite spectrums in a weird Kobayashi Maru test. Like, if you make a female character sexy, that's objectification. But if you don't make her sexy and modest, that's just infantilizing her. She's not a child. She's an adult. Let her dress however she wants. No, not that one. That's just too sexy. Okay? What's wrong with catering to the so-called hypothetical male boner? That's an audience. I want you to tell me the goals of anime feminists when there's a big market for anime that objectifies women. Our website isn't for taking anything away from anime at all. It could have died in obscurity. Our website It could have died in obscurity. Our website It could have died in obscurity. There you go. You want animes with fan service to just die in obscurity. That's what you want.
Yes! You two-timing son of a bitch!
Your website is not dedicated on taking anything away from anime at all. Your website is dedicated on throwing a temper tantrum so that anime industry senpai can notice you to the point where they will censor their stuff so that you don't throw any massive temper tantrums. They censor their stuff to calm you down because they don't want any trouble making the babies cry. It worked with Dead or Alive Extreme 3. People throw a massive temper tantrum by the time they find out that you can sexually assault fictional 3D characters in VR. Oh my god! You have thrown enough tantrum to the point where Japanese developers listen to you even though they have absolutely no reason to do so, because your critiques, or feminist critiques, or animes are the equivalent of, well, Oh no. Oh, we should film it. Yes. Oh no. And I can show you why. Let's get into just one of your articles as a quick sample of their brilliant content. Fan versus Service. Black Lagoon versus Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. I've watched Black Lagoon, including the OVAs. Go check it out. It's freaking amazing. But I haven't watched Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Here's the problem. These two animes are not the same. Black Lagoon takes itself a lot more seriously than I thought, and the tone is somewhat consistently balanced throughout. And Gurren Lagann is an upbeat parody of Evangelion by the creators of Evangelion. Both animes are also prone to absolute ridiculousness. So any move to take any of these animes in a serious light, especially in a feminist one, is gonna backfire on your own critique because the point goes over your head. And it shows. Characterization, sexuality, and objectification are extremely dense subjects and a source for a great deal of debate in modern media. It is because you're the one making it. Nobody is making this a big deal out of this until you come in. I've never made that a big deal. Nobody in the anime community or the anime fans or the anime creators has ever made this a big deal until you come in and make it a big deal. I don't make a big deal out of the fan services in, say, Black Lagoon or maybe the fan services in Oran High School Host Club. They're not important. To make any of these elements to be the most important thing in animes and to suggest that they are important is awfully dishonest. This is especially true in regards to female characters designed and directed to appeal to the heterosexual male audience. Wait, I thought you said you want animes to have more better female characters. And I thought better female characters means that they're good looking, they're appealing to look at, they're badasses, they're strong. Like, that's a badass female character, and you said that it appeals to women as well, and that will make more women to come into animes if they have more badass female characters. So, I don't know, choose. There's a lot to unpack in these discussions, including whether a character is being sexualized or owning their sexuality, and if these subjects fall under artistic license or if they should be open to criticism. How does a fictional character owning their sexuality? They're fiction. They're not real people. They can't consent because they don't have free will. Hashtag fiction lives matter? Rather than tackle the immense subject of characterization as a whole, my objective is to focus on one aspect of the portrayal of female characters in isolation, how camera and context can be used to sexualize or objectify a character in just about every conceivable situation. Wait. Objectification. They're 2D fictional characters. Technically speaking, they are objects to be used by the writers and designers and artists. To suggest that they are the same as actual real-life women by the virtue that you have the same genitals? That kind of thing makes me ask myself, who's the weeb in the room again? So, let's get to some of these camera angles, shall we? Our first look at both characters isn't exactly damning, but it does set the tone. Both originally appeared in partial shots aiming guns. Then, we see a difference in their poses. Revi is in a neutral stance, while Yoko has a more dynamic posture with her posterior jutting out towards the camera. This sounds so petty. Like, guys, you're no different than anime perverts. Like, I can't believe you write articles to highlight how camera angles can sexualize and objectify women. This is just pathetic. This is coming from a weeb. Revi and Yoko are in similar reclining poses, but the choice of camera angles is indefensible! Indefensible! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
I really don't want to get through this article. It's nothing but pettiness, and I don't know, it kind of makes me sad. Jesus Christ, guys, like, we're talking about the most important thing in animes, like the characters, the story, the setting, the manga, the light novels, the visual novels, how they're adapted into the animes, but you come in here and talk about how camera angles are dehumanizing fictional 2D characters. Just, if this is your feminist lens, this is just pathetic. Like, I can't comprehend why someone would take the time to do this. Unless they're like closet weebs and refuse to believe that they're weebs, so they take a different identity to jerk off to different camera angles by telling people that they're a bad person for enjoying it. Can we just get to the conclusion?
Where Revi's presentation sells a complex and volatile character, the choice of camera angles, exaggerated posters, and repeated compromising scenarios makes Yoko come off as a source of inappropriate humor at best, or a pure source of visual titillation directed to the male audience at worst.
Humor is subjective. What you consider inappropriate is not what I consider inappropriate. Also, have you ever considered the possibility that there are actually women and lesbians out there who get turned on by this? And even if there aren't, what's the freaking problem?
Revi's background and her relationship with Rock are able to respectfully explore it because she is presented as a serious character. Conversely, Yoko's later development is undermined by her presentation as something less of a character, an ornament not to be taken seriously.
Again, keep in mind that both animes are aiming for a different tone, with Black Lagoon being a hell of a lot more serious than Gurren Lagann. Like, the fact that you cannot recognize the difference between how animes tackle the narrative is...
Shut up. You are here, and you're an idiot.
Oh, but what's this editor's note?
Editor's note. This is a great example of the kind of content we want to bring you at AniFem. We would love to make this a regular feature, but watching, screen capping, and analyzing these episodes is hours and hours and hours of work. We need to pay Peter for that work if we expect him to do this for a schedule rather than whether he can fit in around his full-time job. If you enjoyed this feature, want to see it more like it, and believe in paying people fairly, please consider supporting us for a little bit as $1 a month on our Patreon.
This is just e-begging. And by the way, this site e-begs in pretty much every single article. Now, don't get me wrong, I also e-beg in my videos, but my e-begging does not span over a goddamn paragraph. That and donating to me is perfectly optional. I do all this YouTube stuff for free because I am having fun doing it. If you want to support me, you can just simply subscribe to me and watch my videos. You can either block the ads or not block the ads, or you can support me on Patreon. It's all your choice. Oh, if you want to block the ads, use uBlock Origin. AdblockPlus is getting more and more retarded lately. Oh, and by the way, this is written by Peter Phobian. Who is Peter Phobian? Oh boy, I suggest you to consider your subscriptions to Crunchyroll right now because this guy is the Associates Features Director and Content Manager on Crunchyroll. This is your content manager. Your content manager of one of the anime distributors in the West is shouting nonsense about anime, misrepresenting them in a really stupid critique, and a creepy closet weeb who is obsessed with camera angles. And you have the balls to e-beg to write about nonsense? In fact, I want to get to the Anime Feminist Patreon page. $158 at the time of this writing. Not so bad, but let's get through it.
Anime Feminist is a site started by a collaboration of writers from academia, the industry, and the grassroots of fandom for reviews, interviews, and discussion of anime and manga to a feminist lens.
Feminist lens. Feminist lens. Feminist lens. Feminist lens.
そうね。あなたが得意なのはきっと股間にテントを張ることでしょうね。
尻滅裂に卑猥を突っ込んでくるんじゃねえ。
アナル滅裂？
We've set up a Patreon from day one because we believe writers should be A, paid for their work, and B, accountable to readers, not advertisers.
You're writing a blog post for money. Not for the passion that you have, but for the money. That's not how you do stuff here. I do this whole YouTube thing because it's fun. It's more fun than playing the latest AAA game. You start off your site by e-begging people. You're lucky that you get some good sponsors.
Who is involved? Our initial round of volunteers included over 20 people from academia, the anime and manga industries, and grassroots fandom. We expected a maximum of 8.
You have academics writing for your site and you can't even recognize that Black Lagoon and Gurren Lagann are two different animes?
Response was overwhelmingly positive, with many saying a site like AniFem is long overdue. The team is well connected professionally with a good range of expertise and experiences. Together, we could create a powerhouse of content.
Powerhouse of content, like how lewd and perverted camera angles of animes perpetuate misogyny and sexism of the anime culture, but Who am I to judge? I'm in no position of criticizing content like that when my growth were mostly based on weeb stuff, but the astounding difference between MRA me and feminist you is I do not berate and condemn girls for enjoying 2D anime boys.
Having a place that encourages respectful discussion and gives a platform to voices that often get drowned out is a great step towards making sure all sorts of fans feel welcome and valued. It's also a great message of feminists who might feel hesitant about animes to say, hey, look, there are like-minded people who share your values and love this media.
So, in other words,
it is not about creating an intellectual space. It is not. Do you understand that? It's about creating a home here.
Listen, feminists, if you want to talk about animes, talk about animes. If you want to talk about feminist BS, go talk about feminist BS. Try to combine the two in an awkward fashion is not going to work. The content is bad. It needs something better. Your feminist lens is garbage. If you cannot see that your feminist lens is this, how about you stop staying on that echo chamber and start listening to people who are against you? They might have some arguments for you to consider.
I love to read personal essays, so I'd love to contribute some too. I think the biggest opportunity that this site has is to showcase anime in increasingly diverse community. So I'd also like to do interviews with fans from all backgrounds doing cool stuff.
Hey, Lauren Orsini, I am an anime fan from Indonesia. You want to interview me?
What?
You know, I'm kind of actually worried about your content. I mean, thank you so much for the AnimeCon gender statistics. That is pretty helpful. Thank you so much for that. But why getting off to anime porn is a shorthand for supporting Donald Trump, that's not exactly an article that I would call the best thing ever, okay? Just saying.
I'd love to see more interviews with underappreciated Japanese creators, particularly women, and criticism from marginalized writers living in Japan and affected directly by these issues. Far better to give those in the know a platform to speak than to make assumptions as to their experiences.
Inuyasha, one of the anime classics, offers a woman. Women don't have to be writers and creators. They can be any roles being shown on Shirobako. Widen your range. Marginalized writers? What are you even talking about? Japan is not America. And you're writing for the Mary Sue. You better run away before it goes bankrupt. I'm trying to help you guys by making these videos, but it seems like my videos don't help that much.
I'd love to write about Japanese perspectives on gender issues with regards to anime. I'd also like to do translations.
I don't trust aliens translating my animes.
I think it would be fun if the AniFem writers got together every so often and did roundtables where we discussed various topics or shows. We may all be feminists, but that doesn't mean we won't disagree sometimes, and I think the sharing of ideas and offering of different opinions would be valuable for both of us and the readers.
I'm not a feminist. Can I jump into the discussion and, discuss about these things? You're all feminists. I think you do share something in common, but it would be at least nice to share opinions from someone who is, or at least doesn't identify as a feminist. No? Okay.
My enthusiasm from AniFem comes from my personal frustration with how female characters are portrayed in anime and manga and the near absence of critical discussion focusing on these subjects. I know a great number of women who found series like Sailor Moon and Revolutionary Girl Ultimate life-changing, but have since withdrawn from anime and after repeated negative experiences. I'm hopeful that a public dialogue can help change that.
Peter, your site hosts Keijo.
I'm keen for us to set up a discussion forum where fans can talk about animes and mangas without being dominated by threads about best girls, drooling over fan service, or people shutting down critical conversations because they can't engage with the idea that their faves are problematic.
I'm gonna map this for you so that you can digest it well. You make a stupid critique. For example, Moe is misogynistic. That stupid critique is being heard by anime fans. We respond to that stupid critique by criticizing you. You backtrack, play the victim, and say, I'm being censored. However, since people like game developers just listen and believe to everything that you say, They are the ones who have to censor themselves by listening to your bullshit. These people cannot accept the possibility that maybe, just freaking maybe, their ideas are horrible. They cannot accept that their criticisms are bad. Can you at least tell me why criticizing or how criticizing the camera angles in Gurren Lagann or camera angles in Black Lagoon to be like constructive to the anime industry? Like, I just don't see it. I just don't see how those kinds of criticisms bring any sorts of contribution to the industry. Like, if I want to criticize Black Lagoon, for example, I mean, Black Lagoon, I freaking love that anime, but it has flaws. For example, the OVAs of Black Lagoon is basically just a rehash of the last, one of the arcs in season 1. I think it was in season 1. So, yeah, I think, that is something that, the writers can actually consider. That is actually a constructive criticism. Like, how is this criticism that you bring, that camera angles can sexualize women, like, how is that making the anime industry better? Like, I just don't see it. You guys have done nothing to convince me. So, I don't know. Convince me on this particular matter. I'm not convinced.
Reasons to become an AniFem patron.
Oh, perfect timing. That's a very good question. I'd really like to know. Maybe you can actually convince me why I should be your Patreon. Or why should I be supporting you on Patreon?
I'd watch more anime if I didn't have to sift through all 40 plus premieres to figure out whether the protagonist falls face first into a girl's breast.
What a pathetic reason! I don't want to see animes where there's just a 5-second scene where the protagonist falls into the girl's breast. It's just 5 seconds, and you're just gonna ignore the entire anime just because of that small 5-second scene of the protagonist falling into the girl's breast? Come on! Like, are you watching anime or are you shoving feminism? You're shoving feminism, right? Just admit it, you are. Because if you are really genuinely interested in animes, that will not turn you off. That will not turn you off. Like, I don't understand how these people's mindset works. Like, I'm interested in anime, but that little scene, I don't want to watch animes right now. I don't want to watch animes right now. It's like, this level of insecurity and puritanism is disgusting.
I love this post, but really wish they write in depth about the feminist points they raise.
Does camera angles and panty shots and boob shots count as the feminist points that they raise? I don't know. If this is the feminist points that you guys raise, good for you. Just I don't get it.
I wish I could read about what a person from that community feels about their representation in this anime.
You know that animes are Japanese made? Like, tons and tons of people of color in there. Like, they're not white people, they're Japanese. What are you talking about when you say a person from that community? What are you talking about community? As in race community? Like, if you're so obsessed about people other than white, go out of the US and start going to Africa or maybe here in Indonesia. I mean, you love those Muslims, right? 90% of people are Muslims here. I'm not a Muslim, I'm a Hindu, but hey, if this is what you want, go knock yourself out. Buy some ticket.
I value paying people fairly for your time, energy, and expertise.
Well, so do I. But the value and the energy and the expertise of just one article of this is less than zero.
I see the abuse writers get when they criticize animes from a feminist perspective, and I am appalled.
I get abused for so many things throughout my YouTube run. Grammar errors, my voice. People make fun of you. That happens. I don't go out into a hug box and find my comfort. I live with it. This world isn't a utopia to hug you every single time. It is a harsh dystopia where everybody competes with each other and only the strongest, the smartest, and the most hardworking get their position. Grow a goddamn pair.
I hate clickbait titles, paywalls, and pages full of ads.
Nobody is stopping you from using uBlock Origin.
I wish I could see a feminist discussion forum on anime and manga.
I don't, because it has nothing to do with anime and or manga.
I wish I could see video interviews with women, queer, and people of color creators.
What, in anime? Seriously? It's been infested with women for decades. Fujoshis are a thing. It's infested with people of color too, you racist. Stop projecting.
I wish I could see translations of articles from Japan.
That's it. There are some. Go and find them yourself.
I wish I could see podcasts about anime, manga, and feminism with guests from the industry.
Go and try to attract audiences to your podcast. I dare you.
I wish I could see convention panels with feminist panelists.
I refer you to my last point.
I wish I could see exciting projects no one has ever thought of yet. Imagination and funding are our only limits.
Good. Make your own feminist animes. That would be an astonishing achievement in the feminist community in that they actually create something.
The more money we raise and the quicker we raise it, the stronger a message we send.
What?
A certain subsection of anime fandom will say that anime is for straight male otaku, that anyone criticizing anime should kill themselves, that feminists aren't welcome here.
One of your writer posted 3 articles with almost the same topic as this in the Mary Sue. In fact, the Yoko Revi comparison was part 2 of my video, and so far, your critiques have been ridiculous and stupid. Moe is misogynistic, camera angles can sexualize women. How are those even? And by the way, feminists are welcome in the anime community, as long as they don't act like you, whining and complaining about fan services and projecting yourselves to everybody, because at that point, you put feminism on the top of enjoying animes. That's not what people in the anime community do. You try to inject your feminism here is gonna show some considerable resistance because you derail the entire topic so that we're now talking about you. You derail it so that we senpais can notice you and your feminist opinions. Screw off!
Help us smash our funding goals and prove the trolls wrong. Whether you are a trans person of color who wants to feel more welcome in this corner of the internet, to a straight male otaku who is frustrated by the hostility perpetuated by people who claim to represent you.
Wow. What a way to put yourself up above the pedestal. You don't represent those trans person of color too, you dipshit. I don't represent those trans person of color. I'm just presenting my argument. I'm not representing everybody. I'm representing myself. Why do you have to claim that you're representing? I am a representative of women and people of color and queer people. Like, I am the arbiter of morality. I am the guardian. I'm the moral guardian of this anime industry. I will save it from those horrible misogynistic straight male otakus. Like, you're really enjoying this, aren't you? You're really enjoying being this up above the freaking moral guardian initiative. Like, you are frustrated by our hostility. You are so insecure about trolls. You reassure everybody, hey, we'll win. We'll prove those awful trolls wrong. Lady, you do not speak to all anime fans. If you want to speak to all anime fans, you need to at least get their respect first. I'm not speaking to all anime fans. I'm speaking to myself. I'm not a huge anime fan. I just got into watching animes a year ago. And you have to come in here and basically say that Moe is misogynistic and camera angles can dehumanize objectify fictional 2D characters. So, after going through all of this, does it look like we have the anime version of Anita Sarkeesian? Well, I don't know. I'm gonna let this site do their own thing. Like, I know they made some really stupid content, but whatever. Tons of people pay for it. I'm not gonna ban them or anything like that. I'm just gonna let this site to slide, and by the time they made stupid articles, especially articles of animes that I'm familiar with or animes that I've watched, maybe, just maybe, I will criticize them again in the future. I'm gonna see you next time, AniFem. That's all for the video today. If you like this, you can go ahead and click the like button and subscribe for more. If you wish, you can support me on Patreon. And thanks for watching.